Hello again, everyone. Mark Hackle, Macomb County Executive. John Paul Rea, our Deputy Executive, just giving you the updates, what's going on with the COVID crisis here in Macomb County. Day 72 since we've had our first case, and we've kind of been going through these issues here. What are we looking like as far as the numbers? I know they're always continuously on the rise is how we report them, but we have seen an incredible decline since the beginning of April, as a matter of fact.
Mark, as we say time and time again when we do these videos, there's always going to be a sticker shock when we get the initial returns on the figures. 6,500 cases, 776 deaths in the county, but we're starting to see a good rise with regards to recoveries, which is now over 4,500 individuals. Statewide, 53,000 cases and 5,100 deaths. But the fascinating thing is when we look at case by onset of date, we are starting to see a steady decline in a flat plateau. We are trending in, whether it is 8 cases a day, 12 cases a day, manageable numbers, not only from a healthcare perspective, manageable numbers from a public health response with regards to contact tracing, and then a full triage of care throughout the entire community.
And for a full month. I mean, the decline has been on an incredibly low plateau for quite some time now, and that's what's interesting. So we're starting to see movement with the economy, obviously, and I think we know there's a reason why we're opening the economy, or the governor is because we realize that's been the impetus. In other words, there has to be a steady decrease in the numbers for a certain period of time. We have seen that. The big question is, I'm going to keep pushing for it, is more understanding of the data and the figures, what goes on in that decision-making process, so we can start working on getting our health club facilities back up and running, our hair salons up and running, barbers back to work, and even the restaurants, because these folks want to be part of the solution, and I think they deserve the opportunity because they understand the protocol. And again, it leaves the opportunity for those that don't want to venture out, that are still concerned, to still be able to shelter in place and to keep themselves safe if they'd like. So again, the numbers are low. I think we all can agree upon that, and they have been for a while. What is the data that's given us the opportunity to open up other sectors? Again, that's incumbent upon the governor to give us the information and give the go-ahead.
Mark, it's about plugging in our local realities into larger statewide strategies, and that's the continued conversation we are having not only with our local health officials, analyzing the numbers here in the county every single minute of every single day and protecting public health, but understanding that, as you've said, we meet those two challenges with the public health crisis and the economic crisis. How can we begin to safely re-engage our economy? As the governor has loosened some of those restrictions and executive orders for some of the advocacy that we've had with our businesses here, it's important that we're using this data, helping inform businesses and putting forward that personal responsibility to really re-engage our economy. Yeah,
and interesting, when they report the numbers as far as the deaths, one of the concerns people are having in the healthcare field and even our health department is the reporting of the number of deaths that are COVID related. And I say that because even our medical examiner is saying some of the folks that are dying, with COVID are being reported as a COVID-related death, and that's really not what caused the cause of death. So there's a difference between dying from COVID and dying with COVID, but there is no distinction when it comes to reporting these numbers. And I think some of the folks in the healthcare industry are saying, I don't know if that's actually accurate reporting. I think it should be if somebody dies as a result of the COVID virus, that's what it should be related to. But if they're dying as a result of some other underlying health issue, and because they had COVID, that there needs to be a differentiation. But apparently that's not what's happening, when we record these particular deaths here in the state.
Mark, there's a number of anomalies that have continued to crop up, whether it's with regards to reporting, whether it's with regards to tracing these cases, and more importantly, what it means as far as the long-term prognosis and assessment and how we care for these individuals. As you've said, unfortunately with the medical examiner, those that are dealing with deaths and understanding the complications, whether there was pre-existing conditions, whether they were COVID related, that's a lot of balls to juggle. But I think the most important thing that we're looking at from our health department response is we're using those strict guidelines, whether they're coming down from the CDC, from the DHHS, but we're always communicating back up with some of the realities that we face and trying to advocate for those folks around the county here. This is the realities that we face with Macomb County. Here's where we need to go next, and here's how we need to re-engage different segments of our society.
It's going to be interesting to see how the media deals with that. In other words, are they going to start delving into, the accuracy of the reporting, whether it's people contracting the virus and or even how we're relating deaths that are truly cause of COVID or those that are because they died of something else, they had the virus in them or they tested positive. So interesting enough to see what happens. We had another round of governor orders, some lessening of some of the economy, some places opening up with an incredible amount of restrictions. Each and every time this comes out, there's a new governor's executive order. We have the responsibility of delving through that and trying to make a determination as to what are the new rules, what are the new guidelines, whether it's for externally, meaning companies, businesses in around Macomb County, but even internally. how do we have to adhere to some of these guidelines for, the work that we're doing and safeguarding, employees that are working here and people coming into the facilities. But incredible amount of work goes into every time an executive order comes out, trying to dissect that and make a determination. What does it really mean? And what are those restrictions or requirements?
It's an interesting scenario that happens in the EOC, Mark. Whether it's a piece of breaking news that come up and everyone running around the newsroom, it's kind of a similar scenario that goes on here. We get our hands on it, we start to dissect it, we understand the implications it has for our internal operations to ensure service provision, but then we also try to understand how it impacts our external partners, whether it's our private business community, whether it's those that are non-profit, whether it's those that are on the healthcare side, how we're really juggling those things, getting that critical information to those individuals that need it most to make those snap decisions. But I also think it's the whole notion of how it stabilizes our operations, because clearly there's that initial panic or response that comes in, but it's the realization that we have a handle on our operations, we're able to layer these things in, and whether it's something we need to change on the human resource side, whether it's something we need to change on the partner management side, we're doing it every single day. It's evolving more and more. But from a personal standpoint, Mark, is it a nice thing to know that we can have gatherings of 10 individuals and have that personal responsibility? It gives everyone a little bit of breath of fresh air heading into a holiday weekend and gets you to understand that yes, while COVID is still present, we can go on with living our lives too.
Yeah, and I think that's what everybody's looking for. So, and again, there's logistics that go into this, incredible amount of attention given to each one of these executive orders. It's not just us looking at it. We have to bring in our health and human services folks. We have to bring in the people that understand, the legal aspect of it, our corporation counsel, our health department, our emergency management folks, to try to figure out exactly, what impact this is having internally as well as externally. And again, let's face it, a lot of this stuff is going to cause for litigation down the road. We will follow CDC guidelines. I think everybody's accepted that. But on top of that, you layer over these executive orders, which are much more impactful. It opens the door for some incredible litigation if people aren't following these various rules. So, I tend to think you're going to see there's going to be some interesting repercussions moving forward with some of the legal minds going, after some kind of litigation. And I think somebody has actually brought that up, as a matter of fact, that they think that's the next wave for a lot of these attorneys is following cases dealing with COVID. And boy, that's going to be absolutely insurmountable for the courts to deal with too.
Mark, it's going to be definitely another variable that we plug into this COVID equation. But I think more importantly, when we really figure out how we continue to move forward, how we continue to get the most reputable information, not only in the hands of the public as we do these video updates, but partnering with everyone both internally at the state level, at the federal level, to get them to understand the unique situations that we're faced with here in Macomb County and how that ensures our preparedness for anything that COVID puts in front of us.
Yeah, and we're trying to work with our business partners. We always have internally here in Macomb County. We're getting a lot of questions, why can't I open? Why did this sector open versus that? I really can't answer a lot of those questions. I don't know what's in the data that's driving the decision, but suffice it to say we're pushing to try to figure out how do we get that understanding so we can better prepare some of the businesses. We've been, again, macombgov.org. There's the business resource icon people can connect with. We're working on trying to get people to understand exactly what we're going to be doing with some of the money that came in from the CARES Act or the CARES funding, and that'll be another announcement we'll make early in June, so that people that are small business that want some of the support, we're going to be able to do that for them. So again, we want to continue to work with them. We're working with our counterparts throughout the region to try to figure out, are there ways of looking at some of these bigger events, whether it's Jimmy John's, Barrymore's, looking at the Armada Fair, some of the larger events that we tend to have, even Freedom Hill with some of their acts, they're saying, are we going to be able to open? Are we closing? What do we need to do? How do we make an appeal that we can do this? We can do it in a safe fashion, but we need to get the governor's attention to allow us to do this because there's a lot of uncertainty. So we're working with those business partners here in Macomb County, as well as small businesses like the hair salons, as well as the gyms, even our restaurant owners, to try to figure out, okay, is there a way of getting the governor to know these folks, our business partners, want to be part of the solution? But even our regional partners are starting to question that too, and I think they want to figure out, hey, how do we continue to have the Woodward Dream Cruise or some of these other events that are going on? So, we're trying to figure out how do we work together to convince the governor that, Southeast Michigan, although we were hit with an incredible onslaught of cases as well as deaths, we've seen that, I guess, if you will, curve diminish, and we think people are willing to be part of the solution, and we need to figure out how do we kind of get our attention to allow that to happen.
Mark, it's been a fascinating conversation with our regional counterparts as we're engaging our friends in Oakland and Wayne and the city of Detroit, understanding how as one of the hardest hit areas, not only in the state of Michigan, but across the country, how we continue to move forward and understand what we want to do as far as large events or what we want to do as far as social gatherings. Have those protections and safeguards in place, understand the personal responsibility that we all need to bring in it, but also how our communities can collectively respond. It's another arena where we've started some preliminary conversations, understanding that the folks that are going to be preparing for their May Fair need to understand what this is going to look like coming down the pipeline. As we've been talking with Andy Appleby and his team as Jimmy John's Field, will there be a season? How does this look like? What does that operation look like when it phases in? But those are similar conversations that our friends in Oakland are having in Wayne and the city of Detroit. But most importantly, it needs to be orchestrated appropriately with an executive order, and we need to know all what our responsibility is in those decisions.
Yeah, and I don't think an answer of no, we're just not doing it is appropriate. I really don't. You're starting to see a lot of other, I guess, pro sports teams ramping up, getting ready to do something, whether it's the NHL, even Major League Baseball, even our NFL. They're starting to work on giving people an opportunity, and some of the colleges and universities practices and letting kids, get back into that. So, an answer of we're just not going to do it or not allow it, I don't think that's appropriate. I think there's an opportunity here. Give them that chance, and again, safeguarding not only those that want to go, the players that are going to be there, and then obviously there's always the fallback for those that don't want to go or are really concerned. They can continue to stay home, stay sheltered, and stay safe. There's a way of doing this, and fortunately, Warren, Mike, and even Dave, my counterparts in Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Wayne, Oakland, and the city of Detroit, they have been obviously hit hard with this as well. They've got the same concerns, and I think they too are saying, hey, we need to figure something out because the economic crisis is becoming quite the concern. I think it already is. We got both, obviously, the health crisis and economic crisis. We've been doing a great job of trying to figure out how do we minimize this health crisis, and people are on board with it. But I think there's a little bit more that needs to be done on the economic crisis because it has been hard hit, and we've got to figure that out. And there's got to be a better solution other than say, we don't know or it's not going to go. We got to figure out how to make that happen.
Yeah, Mark, it's about stabilizing what we have as far as the businesses that are currently operable. It's about scaling in other elements of the businesses, whether it's through retail, whether it's through hospitality, restaurants, and everything. And then it's also, again, continuing to provide outlets for individuals as we re-engage different elements of our business and our community.
Yeah, and one of the other areas that was hard hit was our schools, our educational component. Teachers doing a great job working with the online programs, for all grade levels here in Macomb County. But boy, I tell you, what a challenge, and I got to believe if you stop and you think about it, you really didn't realize how important your graduation was, until that graduation day came, and it was exciting being around your friends, the caps and gowns, walking across the stage, the parties afterwards that you kind of engaged with, non-alcohol related, but kind of, the fun that you had with that graduation in your family and everything, and the proud nature you had of, saying I graduated, I made it, through this 12-year process here. But kids today, boy, I'll tell you, it's kind of like that excitement's been taken away from them. Some of the schools are doing a great job of trying to give them some exposure, give them some, a feeling of a graduation, but it's not nearly, I think, what many of us have had and those of you that are viewing this. So to all the graduates in Macomb County, every one of our school districts in the county, congratulations, we're proud of you. You made it. You made it through an incredibly challenging time, so knowing that, I got to believe whatever challenges are coming ahead of you, just look at them as opportunities, and I think you're going to make it. You're our future, and so congratulations to all the graduates here in Macomb County, from all of us here in Macomb County.
The engagement that we have with our school districts is some of the most inspiring work that we do, Mark, and obviously we're all feeling, tugs at our heartstrings with regards to that seniors that are going to miss out on that. But it's one of those things where, as you said, whether it's a future challenge or a future opportunity, that's where we really hope that you not only continue to excel, but remember the great experiences that you had throughout your time going to school here in the county.
Yeah, make good choices, prepare yourself, because opportunities will come your way at some point in time. And on that note, I do want to give thanks to all of our servicemen and women, past, present, and those that plan on being in the service into the future. Thank you for all the hard work that you do. Remember, this weekend is Memorial Day. It's not just about barbecuing and having a good time and being away from work and just kind of gathering a family. It's an opportunity for us to remember those that sacrificed for the freedoms that we have here in this country, and we can't be thankful enough for that. And so with that, again, we want to say thanks to all the servicemen and women, past, current, as well as into the future. And on that note, on behalf of JP, myself, and all of us here in Macomb County, we want to thank you for tuning in, and remember, keep yourself and your family safe.